Race 2 of the weekend in the GT4 European Series here at Misano is coming up. It is another hour of action. Yesterday's race had so much drama, partly due to reliability woes, and just when you thought a car was on for a good result, it all changed, and we'll see what today's race is going to bring, because the track temperature and the ambient temperatures are going up as we are just after 11:30 local time. Track temperature 46 degrees, and the humidity is another stifling figure, 73%. This grid, based on the second part of qualifying, has Paul Petit's Audi on pole position, and Robert Consigny will line up alongside, having led yesterday's race until the car had an ABS failure, and that put them out not only of the race, but, as Robert rather colourfully put, out of the championship fight as well, and they desperately need to turn their luck around. So it's an all Audi front row as we get ready to go racing. David Addison and Joe Osborne are trackside. We started yesterday's qualifying broadcast talking about the Audi and an old car, and yet boom, here they are blocking out the front row.
Yeah, looking strong, aren't they? And of course the same team as well, so they should be able to choreograph the start. And we saw that in GT2 earlier, didn't we? The SRO Motorsports Mercedes able to get into single file. The outside has been strong here into turn one off the grid.
Let's get to the grid, because Bryn Lucas has found Vincent Baird, who is the boss of Maserati. We have Maserati leading in safety cars, but there are big plans for next year as well.
Well, Vincent, it's great to have you here. We've got a couple of safety cars behind with the Trident on. You have the Trident on your shirt there. Talk us through this fantastic new car that's coming in 2028, the Project GT4. It's an absolutely stunning car.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to SRO to host us here in Misano, in the Motor Valley, close to Modena, the house of Maserati. Yeah, today we are very proud to present Maserati Gran Turismo Project GT4. GT4 is a class in which we believe a lot, so we want to come back. Today it's an opportunity to present the Gran Turismo Project GT4 in the paddock for the first time, and with a target to be on the track, to race, maybe to win, in 2028.
Well, we know the Trident's from just up the road from Neptune's Trident from Bologna, from the Piazza there. Tell us a bit about the car itself and why you're looking at GT4. It's a growing category, we know that.
Yeah, we want to increase our presence in the GT racing. So today we are in GT2, tomorrow in GT4, it's important. And Trident, you mentioned it, this year we celebrate 100 years of the Trident. So 1926, brothers Maserati entered the race for the first time with the Trident on their hood, and they won.
They certainly did, and what fantastic cars they are to have here. What about it making its debut for people to see here in continental Europe?
Important for Maserati to be wide in Europe, also worldwide, and GT4 will be a category where we can be racing in all the continents, offering support to our team, support to our customers, so very, very important to be there.
Vincent, thank you very much indeed. We can't wait for 2028. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another name to join the grid then for GT4 manufacturers, which is already very varied indeed. There is the car nestling under the canopy there in the paddock. The fans have been drawn to it all weekend. Now they're being drawn trackside to have a look at a very busy grid of cars. So Paul Petit's car starts on pole position. Greg Gilver will take it over. He is with Nina Jade Paul.
Well, Gregory, you finished P2 yesterday, starting on pole position today. You've had some bad luck recently, so you must be satisfied so far with your weekend.
Yeah, exactly. We had a bad luck in Monza, bad luck in Spa, so yeah, it was really good to finish second yesterday. We scored points, but it was really important. We start in a best position today, so we expect to have a really big points today too.
Well, you have the clearest view down into turn one. What's going to be your teammates' approach to the opening lap?
Yeah, I think it's a best position. He's really strong this weekend. Paul did a really, really good job. This track, he loves this track, so yeah, he's quite a bit faster than me, but I will finish the race.
Absolutely, best of luck.
Thanks.
Very experienced driver, Greg Gilver, who we were just musing, I think has been on the podium in a Nico Hulkenberg lookalike competition. From a distance, they look very similar. But very experienced in not just GT4, but Peugeot 1-Mate Racing prior to that going back a few years. 5-minute board being shown, and there, Audi, McLaren, Mercedes-AMG, a bit further back, Aston Martin, Porsche, BMW, all on the grid. The safety car accelerates away. That will go and park up round about turn 14, so if there's an incident on lap 1, it can scoop the pack up before they get to the incident zone on the next lap. The Maserati leading car will take them away. Stefan Rattel saunters down the grid as well, making sure his customers are all happy, and all personnel now being asked to leave the track at the 1 minute. Board engines will fire, last engineer will go as well. Let's hear from Benjamin Lariche, who is looking for more luck than he had yesterday.
Oh, Benjamin, it's been a very, very tough season. Probably the biggest understatement you can say for 2026. The #1 in your car, so you came into this with that crown and that target on your back.
Yes, we have the #1. We are yet champion for 5 races, so we try to race as a champion, as we are. And yes, I didn't. Now I didn't have any pressure. I don't have any pressure. I don't want to enjoy yes, to enjoy our title for 5 races, because I think now it's will be very hard to come back.
Yeah, I mean, we always say you never give up until the final throws, do you? You have to keep on going. But the fact it's been so disappointing. ABS was the issue yesterday with the car, and I know that Robert was very, very grumpy when he got out of the car, rightfully so. Is it a case of just trying to enjoy the rest of the season for both of you?
Yes, it wasn't the ABS, it was a wheel on the rear left. And yes, of course, we start P2. Yes. We are in a big track, nice track. We'll keep enjoying, and we'll see what's happened. I hope we'll win, and yes, that's the main thing to think.
Merci, bonne chance.
Thank you.
So Benjamin Lariche will do stint 2 today. Robert Consonny there behind the wheel. It was in Robert's hands that wheel problem happened yesterday. The initial thought was ABS, but as we're now learning, it was to do with the wheel itself. But that car on the outside of the front row of the grid. Lucas Cartel drives 87, the Toyota Supra, and we can join him and Nina Jade Paul.
Well, Luca, here we are again on the grid. Mega race yesterday, starting P21, working your way up to P6. What can we expect from you today?
I mean, yeah, we hope a good result again. P6 is really good for the championship. We get good points. So, yeah, now we have to finish the race and maybe to do a podium. So, yeah, now the goal is really to get good points for the championship again. Because the championship, it's like, it's not only victory, but it's also good points. So, yeah, we hope a good result.
Will your teammate be getting his elbows out on the opening lap? Safely?
Yeah, safely. I think he will try to do his best, but I'm quite confident about his performance, so I'm sure he will gain some position, for sure.
Well, best of luck to you both. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
Hudson Schwartz behind the wheel of that car, the American driver. And again, pit window, 25 to 35 minutes as normal. 95 seconds, that regulation pit stop time as the grid now starts to clear. One to watch from the very back, going to be Eric Evans in the Ford Mustang. He never got out in the qualifying session yesterday. It had a suspension drama, so that will certainly be a car to watch in his hands.
Yeah, and the other Mustang in the race had a suspension issue, didn't it? We saw them retire from a podium position, and that was the theme of the race yesterday. We had 3 cars in contention for podiums, all retiring, and that's what we're hearing. The curb usage here is so important, but so brutal on these cars, more road focused than the GT3 cars, so they're not as robust, they're not as strong, but if you don't use it, you're not going to win, and that's the catch-22 these GT4 drivers will have over the next 1 hour.
There's the championship leading Mercedes of Enrico Federer and Cedric Fuchs. 3 times they have been winners thus far out of 7 races, which is good going, and it takes some doing that in a championship as competitive as this. Grid is now cleared, and we are set for another entertaining hour, that is for sure. Eric Evans there in the Academy Motorsport Mustang at the back of the grid, but he won't be there for long, I suspect.
No, he'll be on the front foot. The car was fast at Spa, wasn't it, last time out, but picked up that front end damage that really hampered them, and Matt Nicol-Jones' squad are ready to get on the front foot. Loving running the Mustang, and they're a big Ford fan. Matt doing more and more with Ford racing now, no longer Ford Performance.
Interesting to see if and when Academy start running GT3 cars in championships to add to the GT4 program. So the lead car ready to go then, and it's an all Audi front row. Charlie Hart and Mackenzie Cresswell in the orange McLaren, you can see there. That was the winning car yesterday. We haven't really come to that yet. Charlie Hart will start today for Elite Motorsports. They did an excellent job yesterday. Also for Elite, Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramid won the Pro-Am contest yesterday, although this grid with Ravi Ramid's time McLaren puts the car a bit further back, so it might not be quite so straightforward today. Also, yesterday we had a 4th win for Max Kronberg and Daniel Blichler in Am. So, Paul Petit starts on pole, Robert Constantine with him at the front of the grid, ahead of Charlie Hart and Alex Papadopoulos, who retired with an alternator problem when in the lead yesterday. 3rd row is Harry Reynolds, who was really feisty in the race yesterday. Sasha Botterman lines up alongside, ahead of Hudson Schwartz. And Gabriele Piana, a man to watch, having retired yesterday as well. Mikael Haveren's one to watch. He retired yesterday. Newcomer Joel Mesh is ahead of Pedro Garcia. And then Colin Cronin starts his McLaren. Cedric Fuchs a long way back on this grid, one to watch, with Roberto Faria alongside. Then on the 8th row, you've got Tudorache alongside James Sherrington. It is Jagic Gedig next with Lachlan Evanet for company. Julian Brichet has Paolo Maloney alongside, and then it's Leo van Westervelt alongside double Pro-Am winner Chris Solkelt. Max Abati has had a Pro-Am win as well. Sorry, the sister car's had a Pro-Am win. This is the one he shares with Stefano Dasti. Florent Grizzo lines up 24th on the grid, ahead of Pedro Perino. Then Daniel Blichler, who along with Max Kronberg dominates Am. Joachim Balder has had 2 wins in Pro-Am. Ravi Ramyid 1. Then you've got Onder Erdem and the ever-colourful Joachim Bolting. Next row of the grid, starting in number 31, Porsche, a car that had problems yesterday. These Tim Horrell with Pro-Am winner Maurizio Coppetti alongside. Daniel Nilsson ended up in the gravel yesterday. Max Bostrom is alongside, ahead of the Am Cup Toyota of Mikael Brunhagen. Max Huber retired with damage early on yesterday. Eric Evans never did a qualifying time, but will be a driver to watch. That then is the grid. Everybody, I think, is present and correct, despite the rigours of yesterday's race. So this is going to be entertaining for sure. And as ever, with a big grid, Joe, getting through that first sequence of corners is absolutely crucial to survival. But then if you do that, you've then got another pinch point, which is that 4 and 5 long right-hander and the flick through 6. So that's almost getting off half the lap before you can breathe a sigh of relief.
Exactly that. We got cleanly through 1 and 2, wasn't it? It was turn 3, we had our first contact and we wiped out 3 cars in that move. And then, yes, you're right, 4 and 5 and even 8, it stays side by side. What are the Audis going to do? Are they going to work together or are they going to fight? You would assume they're going to fall into formation into turn 1, try to make their good and get away from that very fast Charlie Hart car yesterday, which did the undercut on the pit stop. So we keep an eye out for the orange McLaren.
Indeed so. The orange one is the Hart Cresswell car. The yellow one is Yannis Stevenhuyden's Harry Reynolds, just ahead of us here. The white one is the Charlie Robertson Ravi Ramyid car in the Pro-Am battle. Harry Reynolds in that yellow McLaren yesterday was like a dog with a bone. Any time there was a battle, he just did not give up. Even if he lost a place, he was straight back to try and regain it as best he could. And if he's anything like that today, then he's going to be a man to watch. We're ready to go racing then in this 8th race of the year in the GT4 European Series. The cars make their way now up towards the timing line. The lights on the gantry are red. We have an hour on the clock, and away they go with a good getaway being made by Paul Petit to accelerate clear into turn 1. Robert Constantine slots in behind him as the field then accelerates towards the braking zone. And it is going to be Petit ahead of Constantine, with also getting into the mix Alex Papadopoulos. Out of turn 3 they come for the first time. The run now up towards the Curva del Rio, and it's Charlie Hart to the inside then. He's already taken 1 spot away from the Merc, now another one away from the Audi, and Charlie Hart goes second then. So good getaway by the McLaren driver on that inside line down to turn 1. The drone hovering over more battles in the mid-pack as very wide goes Sasha Botterman's Audi, the Aston Martin likewise behind. But so far so good, except there is a yellow flag out at turn 3.
Yeah, Race Lab McLaren going slowly. The 75 car is moving at the moment. Moving was Paul Petit off the line. He went too early for me. The lights were on red. He was full gas, and I think that's why he got away. Race control, well, look at that. You shouldn't accelerate until the lights go out, and for me, the lights were still on red. He was full gas.
And the green flag is now back in that first sector, but there is the Ravi Ramyid McLaren that's got a problem by the look of it. So Ravi Ramyid, number 71, limping along the back straight. The Pro-Am winner of yesterday looks as though he's out of the race, and that was a car that started on the 14th row. Number 75 McLaren is the other one that's going slowly, but the race leaders then work their way up towards the completion of lap 1, and 75, I'm afraid to say, is already stranded by the side of the circuit. So that is going no further. That's the Colin Cronin, Jaden Kelly car. Colin Cronin starting today, and it is out of the race as Paul Petit is trying to get away from the opposition at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, it's been a good start. You can see the Villi Motorsport Audi chop across the front there. It's been really clean. Obviously, front damage on the Cronin Race Lab car, and it looked like rear damage on the Ramy car. But I think they're too far apart. They're 5 rows apart, so be surprised if those two McLarens hit each other. But at the moment, both of those cars are out the race.
They come through then once again, and you've got the battle going on here between 78, which is Charlie Hart, and the recovering Robert Consani. So having lost ground, now definitely trying to fight back.
Yeah, the Audi has got the straight line performance over the McLaren. Hart will have to go defensive into turn 8. Cars still side by side, the Audi and the Mercedes, and the Porsche is going to try and make it 3 wide.
Side by side they come down to turn 8. To the outside line goes the Audi, but Robert Consani can't force the issue there. But while they're squabbling like this, so Paul Petit is getting away up front, isn't he? He's building that gap, and in a sense his teammate is doing him a favour. You've got in 4th place Alex Papadopoulos then in the Mercedes, but this battle on for 2nd place delays those involved and lets the green Audi start to escape up the road ahead.
Yeah, I think Charlie Hart's best tactic here is actually to back the Audi of Consani up to the Mercedes of Papadopoulos, and actually Reynolds' pace is strong today, isn't it? We saw a great racecraft, like you said, David, from him, but the pace wasn't there, and it seems to have addressed that. And he's actually staying with the first 2 cars in front of him, and Charlie Hart may be able to then get away if he can back this Audi up.
The other one to watch will be the first of those bright blue BMWs there. Gabriele Piana in 6th place. Gabriele didn't get into the car yesterday, but he's in the mix very definitely here, all over the back of Harry Reynolds. This is going to be a battle to savour, isn't it? The very experienced and hugely successful GT4 racer Piana, as Charlie Hart goes really wide, versus Harry Reynolds and his doggish spirit. So over the line they come then, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all in a big queue. Piana under attack slightly from 7th place, Michael Haverans, as they go by. Paul Petit leading already by a whopping 2.4 seconds.
Yeah, you can see him making his escape at the top of the shot. Lots of curbs used through turns 3 and now 4 and 5. And Hart's having to worry about the Audi. He's just starting to fill his mirrors up, isn't he? And actually, Papadopoulos not able to get close, considering these cars are starting to fall over each other. And this is the run the Audi needs. He runs wide, he uses the track limit warning. Hart doesn't defend, he decides now I think it's better to let the Audi go. They're losing too much time, and he's going to concede that place in the greater good of getting to the end of this race as fast as possible.
Race leaders then currently on lap number 3, and Paul Petit, having done the fastest lap last time around, it's contact at the back of the number 71 McLaren that has done for them. So Ravi Ramid out of the race. Let's have another look at the start though. We've already had the cars go over the line, so we can't look on that shot at Paul Petit's start, but we can look at them through turns 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pick up the Race Lab McLaren. So it's a red and black car on the apex of turn 2 now, near the Borisan Automotive BMW. It's on the outside here. It's already got a problem.
Yeah.
So it's picked up a puncher, I think, by itself. I'm now trying to see Ravi Ramid. I am assuming he gets checked up by that car, and he gets hit up the rear. So not directly linked, but the Race Lab car just stopping with a puncher very quickly. Everyone else streaming through. Couldn't see any contact, even side to side. GT4, so can we see? We can't see the lights here, but for me, you can see the jump. There's no way all of those drivers were sleeping, and Paul Petit has just gunned it and has created the space. There was probably a planned start from speed car, but will Race Control look at that in a dim view?
Yeah, we haven't yet had the start under investigation message, but it may be that they're so busy investigating that hasn't been proffered to the outside world. There's Haverans going through, still chasing after Gabriele Piana, and the Mustang of Eric Evans from the very back of the grid is now up into 23rd place out of the 37 cars that started. So going nicely. Battle is on there. Look, Harry Reynolds to the outside of Alex Papadopoulos, and drama now for Charlie Hart.
Right.
He's gone off on the exit of 6, and it's all gone wrong on that right rear corner. Another puncture.
Yeah, and tyres completely off. That's a long way back for him. Here comes Harry Reynolds sweeping round the outside. The racecraft from this boy is phenomenal, and he's got it done, and he's now up to 3rd place. Some good and bad news for Elite in about 250 metres.
Now Piana getting involved with Papadopoulos, and he just managed to save that. I thought for a moment that car was heading for the boonies, but he's just about hung on to it. Harry Reynolds goes through. Papadopoulos, though, has picked up damage in that.
Yeah, rear left has got stoved in, isn't it? The bodywork pushing on the tyre, and this battle now is going to rage all the way through the fastest part of the circuits as they turn in flat to turn 11, 230 kilometres an hour. Still smoke coming off this Mercedes. Where's that has come from? But there's a huge amount of damage there.
Race control happy with that start of Paul Petit, we understand, as now Piana gets back up the inside of Harry Reynolds, goes up the curb and goes through. So Gabriele Piana now will be up into third place, having started the lap sixth. And that, having said how feisty Harry Reynolds was almost easy for Piana. But what a difference a day makes for Elite, because yesterday's two cars that won their class, the orange and the white McLarens, both in strife within the first 10 minutes of the race.
Okay, interesting for Petit. I was just looking at the sector times, and as he crossed the start line at the start, he was already doing 145 kilometres an hour, which is quite above what the driver briefing notes say. But Petit's got away with it. That's the main thing, 2.5 seconds, and it has worked out for him. But Consani is fast. He's just done the fastest lap of the race. So the Audis are now going. Is it going to be a chance for the #1 car to catch the sister car, which is leading this race at the moment?
So on track, Gabriele Piana becoming the man to watch now to see what he can do about Consani ahead, as the cars once again make that run now along to the left-hander of turn 8. So it's Piana third, Reynolds is fourth, Sasha Botterman is fifth, leading Pro-Am there in the next of the Audis. Sixth is Hudson Schwartz from Garcia. Papadopoulos is down to 8th. You can see he's just ahead of Haverantz there. And in 10th is Joel Mesh in the Mercedes.
Just trying to see in this battle pack who's probably out of position. Bottomman's been the guy on the move, hasn't he, in the Audi at the front. Harry Reynolds now is going to have to try and stick with Piana. Piana's had a good start to this race. He's had a strong season, of course, in GT3 and GT4. Now Reynolds having to defend against Bottomman in the Audi.
Who is on the attack on the outside. Is Harry Reynolds being less combative than yesterday, and is that about nursing a car because there's another stint to come, whereas yesterday he was in the second stint? And there is Charlie Hart's car that has made it to the pit lane, but the tyre completely off the rim. And interesting that we've had so many of those incidents so early on.
Yeah, it's our third McLaren retirement, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. Oh, and debris on the track. That's probably Charlie Hart's carcass of tyre, isn't it?
Yeah, good shout. Or potentially the back of the Mercedes, but it's a huge amount there, and it's getting blown around. Race control might have to look at a full course yellow to clean that up.
So let's have a look at what happened to Charlie Hart. Was there a rub from the Mercedes? He's up the curb. And no contact. He's up the curb there, and the tyre just goes back, doesn't it?
Yeah, he uses a lot of curb on the inside of turn 6, and it's just popped it off the bead there. So it's not really a tyre failure as such. Yeah. The tyre's been forced away from the wheel, and all the air has escaped, of course. And then it was Piana in the back of Papadopoulos that caused the damage on that.
Hart out of the race. Damage to the right rear suspension as well, presumably on the drag back to the pit lane. So Elite started with 3 and down to 1. And I hope the party they had last night to celebrate was a good one, because there's not much to cheer for right now.
Yeah, it's just that yellow car remaining of Harry Reynolds, isn't it? And yeah, amazing how fortunes change in motorsport, and GT4 seems to be the most prevalent for it. So competitive. As soon as you have one issue, that is you done for the day. And sometimes even your championship, depending on how consistent everyone else is.
Another car that I think may have retired, may not even have started, Max Huber's Mercedes, because that hasn't done a lap either, which was retired on the first lap yesterday. Look at the way that Reynolds has dropped back from Piana into the clutches now. The number 3, Sasha Botterman, Pro-Am leading Audi, and that McLaren just does not seem to have the pace today.
No, it looked better, didn't it? Huge slide. We saw that in qualifying for Reynolds and Stephen Heiners, and Botterman now starting to load him up, pushing me into the corner. Of course, contact in motorsport not allowed, but that's the easiest way to get away with it. You just roll off the brake and just nudge them wide so they can't get on the throttle, and that hurts their exit.
Let's get to the pit lane and find out what happened to Charlie Hart. Bryn Lucas has found him and can hopefully shed light.
It's not been an elite day, really. They're having a real tough time out there. For yourself, Charlie, you look so good, so on it. Maybe hit the curb too hard. Was that the problem?
Yeah, we had a really good start. Obviously, got past the Audi on turn 4, and then yeah, the Audis are really fast, so I just ended up letting him go. It would have been better for our race in the long run, and then yeah, keeping the Merc behind and hit a curb, and yeah, either suspension or a puncture or something happened, so just had to limp it home. But yeah, sadly we couldn't get back out.
Motorsport can be pretty cruel, can't it? The highs from yesterday to today.
Yeah, obviously we were looking to build on yesterday with a mega result to boost us even higher in the championship, but that's racing, you know. You get a win yesterday and you get a DNF in the first 10 minutes. You just got to take it on the chin. Bit of bad luck, had a bit of good luck yesterday, so yeah, we'll be back at Zandvoort.
Very pragmatic. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, disappointment for Charlie Hart, but very mature attitude as the McLaren out of the race. So all the elite hopes now on 77. Harry Reynolds fending off Bottoman, who's got Hudson Schwartz queued up behind. There is the escaping Constani in second place, 2 seconds back from Paul Petit, but the gap is coming down fractionally. And there, Gabriele Piana, last time a personal best lap, but the BMW, quick as it is, not on an Audi pace right now.
No, the Audi really in a class of its own, isn't it? And the Supra now sweeping past the Audi that was balked by Harry Reynolds. Lack of straight line speed in the McLaren. So the Audi shuffled back, and now the anger starts to grow in this pack. And that's what Harry Reynolds really needs. He needs it to go off behind him to allow him to try to get his head down and not worry about defending and losing lap time. But at the moment, Harry Reynolds' racecraft is on show once more.
Cars making their way then now up towards the timing line. Harry Reynolds, having lost that place relatively straightforwardly to Piana, is now making that car as wide as possible as they come over the timing line once again. There's your leading AM, which was ever thus, Daniel Bickler and Max Kronberg. The AM class has dwindled a bit. We lost Julian Repair because of a crash in testing, so it's only 2 cars that we have fighting it out this weekend, but the Bickler Kronberg Cayman is by far the fleetest of foot and regularly able to challenge the Pro-Am contingent. Quite a few cars lower down as well, all trailing trim off the back, I notice.
Yeah, it was the trailing bumper show, wasn't it, back on there. And yeah, we're talking about the AM class. Worth pointing out that Bottoman in the Audi is leading the Pro-Am class quite comfortably. Brioche is in 13th place, a long way back, so Bottoman will be thinking about that as well as the overall result, of course.
There to the inside goes the first of the SRO Motorsport Mercedes, Joel Mesh, ahead of the championship leader, Cedric Fuchs, in the second of the sort of Dayglow and black Mercedes. And for championship points, Fuchs needs to get a wriggle on here. Mesh to the outside of Tudor Rachi in the Willi Motorsport, the very colourful Audi. Side by side they run on that back part of the circuit down towards Curvoni at turn 11. You can see Michael Haverans is under attack as well there in the Mustang as they go through. The next forward is Eric Evans. Evans is up to 17th, by the way, from stone last on the grid. Excellent drive.
Yeah, halfway up the field almost perfectly. So we're not halfway through the race. It carries on with that trend. They're going to be somewhere near the sharp end. Of course, each car in front of you gets faster and they overtake gets harder. So I think a realistic result would be a top 10, and that would be mega for Academy Motorsport.
There is the Pro-Am leader then. Sasha Bottoman goes through. He's slipped a place overall now behind Hudson Schwartz, but he's comfortably ahead of Julien Brichet and then Chris Salkelt for third in Pro-Am. As over the timing line goes again Harry Reynolds. Haverans up ahead of Pedro Garcia's Aston now, a little bit further back in the queue. And you can see how busy it is here. That is Julien Brichet's Porsche number 24 mixing it here, because you've got James Sherrington's Toyota Supra, and Eric Evans has gained another couple of places out of all of this. So Evans was 15th over the line. It's even better than that now.
As you're going to send it down the inside of Sherrington. Sherrington defends really well, actually. I thought he might leave the door open, but good work there from the Rob Huff and Will Fuchs managed driver in that red Supra in this 4-car battle pack. Actually looks like the Porsche is going to get done by the other Supras. Evans is on the front foot.
But equally, Brichet realising that that's a Silver Cup car, he doesn't have to be fighting against it. And Evans, of course, now, the further up the order he gets, finding each pass tougher. And that is Joachim Bolting, who has gone around. The colourful Porsche and a colourful character is Joachim Bolting. That was a spin coming out of turn 5. Had a spin up at 10 yesterday, so he's got going again, but time lost. As you see Piana going through, still chipping away at the top 2 as best he can. And there, Harry Reynolds with almost the rest of the field queued up behind him.
Yeah, he's done well though, Harry, hasn't he? Not to lose any places there. And the lead Audi's really in a class of their own, like we've said, 2.5 seconds between the two of them, and then another big gap to Gabriele Piana, nearly over 6 seconds last time by to Piana.
Race leaders then have put 8 laps in the book as they go by. Now it is 9 laps done, and the teams looking on at speed car. They can still see a 1-2 here, 2.5 seconds being the gap. Then you've got the rather lonely Gabriele Piana, who is just not quite as quick as the Audis. Replay of Bolting. Did he fall or was he pushed?
Big push, I would say, from the BMW there. You can see some bodywork flying, and yeah, expect race control to look at that one.
So the Porsche goes around. The BMW in question was Onder Erdem's car. And here is Reynolds under attack then, because to the outside line goes Hudson Schwartz. Little puff of tar smoke. You've also got the Mustang of Michael Haverans trying to get in on the act as well, but he can't find a way by there.
Yeah, and it's going to happen, isn't it? The Toyota seems to have a bit more about it than the Audi of Botman. Of course, Botman is a bronze-graded driver, so he is punching massively above his weight, and that's why he's leading his class so comfortably. But I just feel the Supra looks a bit more aggressive with his body language. Reynolds misses the apex there. Botman sending it round the outside. Was that a move trying to get past the Supra, or was that a move defending from the Mustang of Haverans?
Let's have a look then. Haverans all over the back of Botman, who in turn tries to get back up the inside of Hudson Schwartz, so he's on the attack. He's on the defensive. You've also got Pedro Garcia, number 74 in the Aston, in this battle pack as well. But still, Harry Reynolds, in his first year of GT racing, up from the GB4 single-seater series, hanging on to the place. Haverans clears Botman now, so that puts the Mustang up into 6th place. And there, big dive from Hudson Schwartz to get past the McLaren. Goes through and did a good job of getting the car still to slow for the corner.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Harry Reynolds, all the other drivers would have seen how he overtook straight away yesterday. So now they're going to be extra defensive. That was his signature move. As soon as he got overtaken, he sprung back. But the problem is he hasn't got the pace to do it. And it actually looks like Haverans is looking down the inside. We saw contact here yesterday between cars. It's not the best overtaking opportunity out of the 16 corners here at Misano.
So over the line goes Hudson Schwartz, down ahead of Botman, and the Haverans Mustang, having cleared that, is now into the top 6. Botman 7th, Garcia is 8th, and that could change imminently. Look in the background, yep, still nose to tail, but you've got Botman hanging on with Pedro Garcia right up behind him. So Botman had a big spin there. That's it back onto the racetrack. Remember, that is another car that runs in Pro-Am. They did here Nico Ferrer win in AM at Paul Ricard and very quickly upgraded, and I suspect there was contact. There was. And is that the Chris Solkeld BMW?
Yeah, but that's the corner before where
it's
rejoining, so
you're right.
2 spins for the price of 1. But yeah, for sure, there's going to be, I think, 2 penalties to 2 BMWs for turning 2 Porsches around.
Meanwhile, Harry Reynolds is on the attack again. Look, using all the curb to try to get back at Hudson Schwartz, coming up towards turn 10, and Schwartz goes wide and Reynolds is back past him, and Haverans has gone by as well.
Reynolds went in the back of the Supra there. You could see what he wanted to do. He wanted to get down the inside of the Supra, but like I said, I think these drivers are wise to how aggressive Reynolds is, and he closed the door, so Reynolds loaded him round. Reynolds gets done by the Mustang. I think the smarter move for Reynolds here is probably to let the Supra go, and then the penalty should be rescinded, but I think that could be a 5 or 10 second penalty if he does not let that Supra go.
Let's have a look then as Haverans comes through. He's now got himself past the Mustang. So actually Haverans has been the big winner out of all of that. He's cleared the McLaren and they both got past the Supra in the effective push to pass incident there. So to the timing line already, Paul Petit and Robert Constany have gone. Gabriele Piana is just dropping away, fractions per lap. Here's the replay then. McLaren, into the back. Unsettles the Supra, wide goes Schwartz, and Haverans jumps past as well and then gets past the McLaren, and Schwartz then fights back. Do unto those as you'll have them do unto you, and Harry Reynolds off the road, back on again. He had to go to the escape road there, but Hudson Schwartz will argue, well, you did it to me, but he's actually not getting the place back, has he?
Yeah, and it's always hard when you're in a bright yellow car, but race control will be looking at Reynolds now.
Yeah.
And you're right, he had to go through there, but was that gaining an advantage? I do think the team would be well versed to just say, let the 87 go. We're going to attract a penalty at some point, and I think basically the 87 has the speed, so it's going to get lost at some point.
But Harry Reynolds right now probably is shouting at the team. He drove into me, he pushed me off. You won't be thinking about what he did to the Mustang, will he? Well, how is the championship leader getting on? Cedric Fuchs is still only in 12th place, and we are having Onder Erdem given a drive-through for causing a collision that was turning around Joachim Bolting. So these are now filtering through the system.
There's a big screech of tyres. Was that Reynolds getting loaded up from Schwartz? You would say so, because the Toyota has now got the overcut. So a pretty intense lap, potentially 3 points of contact within the 4.2 kilometres here at Misano in the Supra, now back in front.
Right, but Harry Reynolds will be fighting back, won't he? Because he'll tighten the line. Look, on the run up to the next corner. Can't find a way through there. But now, Harry, keep it clean. Yes, we know you can be aggressive and feisty and all of the others, but no more contact. And Hudson Schwartz has taken the place back, and the pair of them come to the end of the lap with Sasha Botman back into the mix as well. There, look, in number 3 Audi. So Reynolds still fighting. Let's have another look here at Daniel Blickler's car being turned around by a Supra. That may well have been the Brunhagen car looking at it, but anyway, Max Bostrom in 29 it was. Right, so Daniel Bickler carries on, albeit delayed. Drivers getting ready because we're not that far off the pit window opening, are we now? Under 4 minutes.
No, you don't want to be in a Porsche today just because you just get hit all the time. Third Porsche we've seen spun around.
I think what the problem is, they're such a nice shape they came, and people want to come and admire them, but they just get a bit close as they're trying to have a good look, and then too late.
I'm not a fan of them, not a fan of the people that drive them either, to be honest, Dave.
Down towards turn 8 then goes this battle with Harry Reynolds again, having a look to the inside to try to regain the place from Hudson Schwartz. And in the background, look, there is the recovering Alex Papadopoulos trying to have a go at the Federer Fuchs entry. Eric Evans is in that battle pack as well. Eric Evans now going for 12th place, having started on row 19.
Yeah, the drivers who have done their homework will be not expecting to see an Academy Motorsport Mustang Papadopoulos off the racing line. There's a good illustration of why the outside doesn't work. It's a long way round, not as much rubber as well. And Evans takes that place, and he's trying to take another Mercedes down the back straight. And where's it going to go? Is he going to go all the way around the outside of Fuchs? This is super brave, super risky. Yeah, at the moment, it looks like in favour of the Mustang.
Round the outside goes Eric Evans, and the American driver gains the place, covers it off on the apex for the hairpin at turn 14. That number 111 Mercedes is having a tough race here. We know that Cedric Fuchs is quick, but again, it just looks a bit ordinary today. And in fairness, none of the Mercedes are outstanding. Joel Mesh is the best in 9th place, the other SR Motorsport car.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's something not right with that car. The way the other Mercedes of Papadopoulos just swept past him. He is fighting back now, but yeah, Joel Mesh in the sister car looks okay. Fighting back, maybe there's an intermittent problem on that car.
Bear in mind, though, that Papadopoulos started 4th on the grid. I know he got roughed up early on, hence the damage on the back, but that's another car that should be doing better than it is. Back past him goes Cedric Fuchs then, so that regains 12th place for him. But Eric Evans, 11th, having started on the 19th row of the grid. Mega effort, and now there, look, another place to be gained back by the number 110 Mercedes of Joel Mesh. He's battling with Tudor Tudorache, the Romanian driver, having probably his best showing of the championship season thus far. That Audi, again, illustrating that it's a good circuit for the R8 in the top 10.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And this battle's going to help Evans. He's going to arrive on the scene very shortly. That battling slowing these 3 cars up. And Eric Evans will be licking his lips as they run side by side. We saw quite a big crash in GT2 earlier there with 2 cars colliding. And actually we saw SR by Motorsport running Mercedes there, and one of their cars with a problem. So hopefully they can get their 2 GT4s to the end without any issue.
Yeah, exactly right. As then Eric Evans continues to be the driver to watch, then having started 37th on the grid, about to try to break into the top 10. And there going by is the 110 Joel Mesh Mercedes. Tudorache is 10th, Eric Evans 11th then, and there's the big blue forward look with Eric trying to tighten the line up to the hairpin, but ahead of him there's a battle which might yet end in tears. The Villi Motorsport team with that Audi, of course, had a really tough Monza where it retired in race 1. They had a hardship lap on the Sunday morning and it crashed on that and did vast amounts of damage to both car and barrier, so couldn't race, but they bounced back at Spa. And again here, that car of Sergio Nicolai and Tudor Tudorache going well. Real underdog team, only the 1 entry. Over the timing line goes now Pedro Garcia, Joel Mesh, Tudor Tudorache, Eric Evans, and Tudorache sends it up the inside going into turn 1, but that's the outside line for 2, and it ain't going to work.
No, I actually thought Evans was going to go around the outside of the Audi, but Tudor actually broke so late it became the other way round on that move. There's Evans. We've seen him overtake cars on the brakes here into 4. It looks like the Audi's going to leave a bit of space, and it's a great move by Evans. Gets it stopped. Wise moving over to the left as well from Tudor Tudorache just to make sure it was okay. Evans, another place gained.
We are getting a few track limit penalties, by the way, coming up now. None are affecting the overall situation, but Joachim Bolting has got one, Tim Horrell has got one. So there are a few being issued, but not within the leading line of cars. That is, again, coming up now round the turn 8 left-hander. The run towards the 9 kink, the 10 sharper right. Pit window will be opening imminently. In fact, sorry, it is open now, and we'll await to see cars dive in. Some may well, even out of this leading group, come in at the end of this lap just to get out of the traffic.
Yeah, race control busy. There's a penalty to Erdem, the BMW that turned around Bolting, so that penalty is done already, and I think there's maybe a couple more pending as well. And race control with the track limits are giving them out quickly, so at least the drivers know when they're getting them in real time. There's no real delay on when they do it to when they receive the warning.
Eric Evans there to the inside line and gets up alongside Joel Mesh then. So Eric Evans from 37th on the grid now now into the top 10, into the 9th place, in fact. Going back to the Mercedes 111, Cedric Fuchs' car, Bryn Lucas in the pits has been talking to Enrico Federer as the car now does box. Enrico saying there's nothing wrong with the car, it's just designed to last the hour, and the way that Cedric is driving it, looking after it, so we expect the race to come back to us in that second stint. There is Tudorache in, and Cedric Fuchs in ahead of Alex Papadopoulos. Down the pit lane they come.
Yep, so the minimum pit stop time, 95 seconds, 1 minute 35. That's from line to line, so they're roughly stationary for about 55 seconds in that time. All they're doing is drive change, no tyres or fuel in European GT4, so plenty of time to do it safely. Remember, they can go 1 second under if they use their joker. You can only do it once a weekend, and actually the Charlie Hart car that won yesterday used it, so wise to use it because they've DNF'd today.
There are the Audis, and that gap is coming down, isn't it? Because in fairness to Robert Consonny, he's brought the gap from 2.5 seconds just steadily down. It's 1.7 now. Paul Petit not under threat, second generation racer, his father Pierre Petit, ex-Formula 3 racer, but the lead car doesn't have as much of a cushion as it did a few laps ago. Stops then starting to cycle through, as we've seen Harry Reynolds in early as well to give way to Yannis Stevenheidens.
Yeah, and Piana's dropping further back, isn't he, as well? So the Audi was strong at the start, and it's staying strong as Joachim Bolting is out the car with his bright yellow boots, is doing the belts up of Hendrick still. Interesting position where to put the radio. Most drivers use Velcro to hold it up, but maybe Velcro would ruin the chrome design, so he'd rather stick it in his eyeball. There
is Robert Constanti's car over the line, and Benjamin Lariche waiting his turn then as the lead gap is way down now. It was 1.7, it's come down to 11 tenths. So is this Paul Petit with a problem? Is he wilting? It's him doing slower laps. It's not constantly speeding up. Paul Petit is losing pace, most definitely.
Yeah, he really is that the tyres getting over pressure as the elite McLaren after its pit stop is right in the middle of this, isn't he? So it could be a little bit awkward there. Stephen Hayden's now aboard the car. Harry Reynolds has got back into that car, got back into the pit lane, rolls out of it very aggressively. I'm surprised how easy he made that. Of course, he doesn't want to hold them up, but you don't want to lose time either.
But that was a lapped car for the period, so Yannis Stevenheidens lets the leaders go and then can now concentrate on the rest of his stint, knowing that these cars are going to be in the pits before much longer. So the race leaders are on lap 17, 31 minutes on the clock. Into the pit lane there comes number 74, Racing Spirit of Le Mans. Aston, Pedro Garcia to give way to Clement Seiler. As number 1, you look at Robert Constanti now coming up through turn 13. And as I say, he was quicker last time, much quicker than Paul Petit. On this lap, he's lost out a little bit in the first sector with traffic, but he's 2 tenths quicker in the second. So in real terms, the second place Audi is the faster of the two. And Paul Petit, I think, will lead to the pit stops. Yesterday, we saw speed car box on different laps. They're doing it again because number 1 is brought in first today.
Yeah, normally the lead car gets priority of when they want to stop, so I assume they would have offered that to Petit. Do you want to box this lap? He said no, so then they offer it to the sister car, and Consani says yes. Box opposite. Big tyre pressure adjustment seems to be being done on all cars. Track temperature up to 48 degrees now, so these pressures getting high. You can see the Porsche in the background. We saw the driver change with the wheelchair user Tim Horrell. Such a slick operation. Get out of that car, and they have exactly the same pit stop time, so they're well versed in how to do that.
Tim Horrell having picked up a penalty for track limits earlier on, so now the seat put in for Benjamin Lariche. A slightly different frame of Benjamin to Robert Constanti, who's out of the car. We are having a car, Ruben Del Sart's Toyota, looked at for speeding in the pit lane, potentially. That was when he replaced James Sherrington. More coming through the pit lane as well. You can see in the background more stops cycling through. At speed car then, the reigning champions are turned around. In other words, out gets Constanti, in gets Lariche. This is still the lead car. So Paul Petit, Greg Gill there, the co-driver, coming up towards the exit of 10. In the background is the 1 lap down McLaren having pitted. Harry Reynolds giving way to Yannis Stevenheidens.
Bit of a strange hand gesture from Lariche. Looked like he had a problem. He looked frustrated and then fired up and off he went. So maybe something I'm reading into too much, and hopefully that car is okay. The number 1 leaves pit lane.
Having got excited about Tudorache earlier on in the 310 Villi Motorsport Audi, that's got a 5-second penalty for track limits, and they've just served the pit stop, so they're going to have that as a time added on at the end of the race. So the lead car will do another lap. Paul Petit presses on. And that out of the race is Julien Brichet. No, he's not out of the race. He's going to carry on. So he'd stopped for a chat with the marshals, which is where the car stopped in qualifying yesterday. But he's got it going again. And so after a spin, that car back into the race, albeit badly delayed. The 11 BMW you can see is the second of those Borusan cars. Batty Yildirim at the wheel of it, and he has just dropped behind Misano as they come across the line. Hot work for Robert Consani, trying to cool himself down as best he can, and that was what, half an hour behind the wheel. So physical stuff and hot stuff. Maybe that's why Paul Petit was losing pace a little bit as the heat made its effect. But that said, he is staying out. I think Greg Gilbert said Paul was faster than he was, so it makes sense, doesn't it, to keep Petit in for as long as.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one, but yeah, super warm, and just want to try and get your core temperature down. You see lots of drivers now using ice vests. I don't know why we didn't do it back in the day when I was young, but I assume we just had to be told to shut up and get on with it. But yeah, for sure now the physical exertion as we get warmer and warmer summers is definitely a consideration for the car manufacturers as well, to try and make the environment of the cockpits better for the drivers.
So aboard this Audi now is Vinny Beltranelli. That's another of the speed car fleet, and that's the Pro-Am lead car prior to the pit stops. Chris Solkeld will take up the lead before he gives over to Daniel Drexel. Not seen anything about that car being investigated for the incident with 24 Porsche, assuming we're right in saying that it was the Solkeld car. Into the pits comes the leader then. So Paul Petit down the pit lane right now, and a crucial pit stop this for the race leader.
Yeah, it just needs to be super smooth, and we're going to see where they come out as the pit stop is just under a lap time. So it's a really nice one to be able to read as we see our pit stop leader hustling on well straight up to speed for that car as the 8 comes to a stop. They're not touching the car. Was that a penalty? It was strange how the driver was very clear not touching the car. I assume that was, he was worrying if the engine was still on, but no penalty. And the minimum is 5 seconds, and it wasn't that. So obviously just a procedure speed car like to do.
Yeah, just a caution, I think, to make sure everything was right before they do start work. Don't touch the car with the engine still running. So that's going to give now Benjamin Lariche a stint in which to have a go at Greg Gilbert. Nervous times for speed car because they want the cars to win, they want the cars to last, but it's going to be a battle between the two entries out of the same stable. Good stint, though, that by Paul Petit. Job done, walks away, and Greg Gilbert being given the sign to fire up the engine, and then the allotted time will ebb away. He'll drive down the pit lane and rejoin and carry on the battle against the number 1 car. So that is Petit down the pit lane. It's a long drive down the pit lane. You might think, gosh, they've got a huge gap over this car, but remember, this is at full speed. The 8 Audi in the pit lane is still at the pit lane speed limit. There it is, crawling, 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 and then it's got that long arc round the back of turns 1 and 2 and 3.
Exactly that. I think the lead will stay with the 8, though.
Yeah, right.
It looks comfortable, but it is always an optical illusion, and it's such a different shape as well. Pit exit to turns 1 and 2. There is the number 1 car coming into turn 1. We're now up to speed in the green speed car, and there's the gap. Looks like it's growing, doesn't it? It was under 2 seconds. I think we're going to see something like 5.5 to 6 seconds as we get our gap established.
Yeah, it has lost about 5 seconds, number 1 Audi. It was a minute 39.5 against a minute 34.8. So it was a slower stop for whatever reason by number 1 Audi. I don't remember that being given a penalty for anything, but again, there's 5 seconds there. But I think it was safe in terms of track limits. The number 1 Audi had got 4 warnings, though. Anyway, it now needs to make up that lost ground, and Benjamin Lariche, of course, is already into the stint. He's had a lap to explore the circuit and the car, whereas Greg Gilbert is getting up to speed here.
Yeah, and it's such an advantage that already being up, and that's why the undercut can work so effectively. And there's our lead battle gap. It really has grown, and that is exactly what Gilbert would want to see, and it's the opposite of what Lariche would have wanted to see. After seeing his car closing that gap up, he would have felt confident he had a chance for the win. He's now got to dig deep and see if he can start to haul that gap back down.
Wonder if that time loss has anything to do with the hand gesture you mentioned, as though the car wouldn't fire up to begin with, or it wouldn't engage gear, and the frustration was there. And that 5 seconds may not sound a lot, but in this form of racing, it is absolutely crucial. And you can understand, therefore, why there was the frustration over whatever the problem was for Robert Consani and now Benjamin Lariche at the wheel, because it's cost that car a chance of a win, maybe, because that is a big gap to try to make up now. Over the line, it was hovering about a second and a half before the stops, and now Greg Gilbert to Benjamin-Lariche as they come by. We await the gap, and it's 5.9 seconds. And if you take the 5-second delay out of it, it would have been 9/10.
Yeah, and that's how it kind of looked. Is that a problem for the 1-1-10 car as well? And we've got Weng Hing Lu in the car, managed and coached by Gus Bowers, a former GT4 racer himself. It seemed like that car was struggling to get away, and this was the battle that car was in. So I do fear that car's lost time.
The Chris Sulkeld Daniel Drexel BMW is being given a drive-through penalty for causing a collision at turn 14, which is the one I think we identified on board. So double winners this year, but they're about to be given a penalty. This is Enrico Federer getting up the inside of Vinny Beltramelli. It's for position overall. They're in different classes, but Federer goes through then and provisionally up into 8th place. Bit of debris on the road there, but you can see once he's gained the position, Federer's away.
Yeah, he really is, isn't he? He's now fighting back down the inside on this run to turn 8. Mercedes looking menacing as well, and he'll be one to try to get involved in. Ibanez does get down the inside.
Oh, nice.
Great move.
Really nice. 2 places gained there. So Luc Ibanez, who always goes well around here, 3 times a winner, putting the car 2 places further up the order, gets ahead of Clement Seiler as well as Vinny Beltramelli. Clement Seiler tries to fight back on the run to 10, but there's no way through there. Joel Mesh is about to slot back in also in 1:10, having briefly led while we had the pit window unwind. We've got Henry Jocelyn, number 29, Supra, taking over from Max Bostrom. That's been given a penalty for causing a collision that we'd seen as well. And number 26 of Stefano Daste on the attack there, getting past the Max Kronberg Porsche. So there's still a lot going on with 22.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, we hear the sister Lotus has an engine problem from Britain as well. The oil pressure's dropped, so we're down to the single Lotus now. And they're having to avoid their debut, weren't they, in the middle of the track coming into turn 9. So these cars are working pretty hard.
And we understand that Benjamin-Lariche, when he tried to fire the engine, pressed the button and nothing happened, and he didn't wait, so he pressed it again. So instead of waiting for it to go on, he turned it off and then had to turn it on again. So just a little bit of confusion, a bit of panic that added up. 5 seconds lost.
Easily done. It's like whenever I plug a USB in, you put it in wrong way, other way, wrong way, other way, right way. Like, yeah. Have I got it wrong twice when there was only possibly one wrong option? Go on board with the BMW, singing along this front straight into turn 1. And you can see how much curb these cars are using. And this is what I said at the start of the show. This is what damages the cars. And the BMW have a great run through here. The flatter curb of 3 used. You can see how much rubber's getting laid down off the track here. And the drivers using the track limits and more in some cases.
Getting more pit lane speeding penalties coming up now as the Maloney BMW tries to squeeze up the inside. This is Senior, this is Paolo Maloney, and ahead is David Kuhlmann. So this is for 19th place overall. And the BMW is going to have to slot back in then on that run along the straight towards turn 8. Victor Bouveng is behind in another of the quick Pro-Am BMWs here. So it's Gilbert Lariche 6.1 seconds apart for the lead. Thomas Rackle is 3rd. And the BMW in 3rd spot, again, just not lapping on the same pace of the Audis.
No, the Audis look like they should be able to control this, don't they? And will Speed Car maybe put some instructions in there not to go below a certain time, just to make sure those cars get to the end. It's a mega Pro-Am battle now, isn't it? With this Aston 2 BMWs and the Porsche getting on the back too. Absolutely
right. So there is 74 Aston. That is Clement Seiler who goes by. Still pushing on as best he can, trying to gain ground. Yanni Stevenhuyden's 5th in the yellow McLaren, but he may not hang on to that because he's got some big names starting to close on him.
Yeah, that's very true. Stevenhuyden has just done the fastest lap of the race for that car. And it was actually faster than everyone in front of him, so maybe some pace coming back to the 77 Elite car, but yeah, he needs to get his head down and make sure he doesn't get swallowed up by the pack behind.
Going through then is Luc Ibanez still charging on. 8th place Ibanez after his teammate got roughed up a little bit early on. That car retired yesterday with alternator failure when in the lead. So it's been a tough weekend, but Ibanez remains one of the forces to be reckoned with in GT4 racing. And no matter where you go or what he drives, the ex-Ginetta racer always very, very fast indeed.
Yeah, it's no disservice to the other drivers, but he's one of those drivers that's almost overqualified for European GT4 now, isn't he? Ibanez and Piano are the two, I think, that have got so much experience, and yeah, they come into this, and you should never look at GT4 as the lower level. Like I always say, I love racing it. The racing's more fun than GT3. There's less aero, you can run closer, and as bad as it sounds, you know the car's about a third of the price, so when you do hit something, it doesn't feel quite as painful, and yeah, that's why I've always got a lot of love and time for this GT4 category,
which really has blossomed over the last few years. Great to see. There is Sergio Nicolai. He's just been given another penalty, or that car has, for track limit abuses. So it's having a tough race, the 310 Audi, despite being well placed overall. But now the penalties are starting to add up ahead of the Raymond Liu driven Mercedes, and he in turn has now got Ruben Del Sart behind. That's another one that's copped a penalty, and behind Del Sart is Tamás Guedes in the white and yellow Supra. Toyota's another car that always have gone well in European GT4 racing, and indeed in Asia, not surprisingly, but never had quite so much fortune in the UK. Over the timing line then goes Nicolai. We've got 18.5 minutes on the clock now. Lead gap down a bit. It was up to 6.1. It's down to 5.8, and there being really given the squeeze was Raymond Liu, who quite understandably just lifted out of that.
Yeah, really loses out, doesn't he, there, as he got bullied to the inside. Big swerve as well, which made me lose my breath ever so slightly. We go on board with Maloney again. He's going to have to really use his head here, isn't he, to get around the Coolman Aston Martin. The Aston Martin with great straight line performance, and they're all running in the same order as we picked up this battle a couple laps ago. Swedish flag on the side of the BMW. Victor Buveng taking over from Joachim Walder there, and then the Porsche there, the 27 car of Houston, who took over from Nielsen. Those two cars had contact, didn't they, yesterday? And it was Nielsen got fired off by Walder, but for me, Walder was there. But no love lost between those two Swedish drivers.
No, Edwin Helson's doing a decent job here of gaining ground again as the stint wears on. 21st, 22nd they're racing for, but it's positions in Pro-Am. Coolman's Aston is second in Pro-Am. Maloney's BM is third, Buveng's BM is fourth, fifth is the Porsche of Helston, but the class leader is way up the road in 10th, and this is the battle for 19th and back. So Beltramelli is looking for an easy class win as long as it all holds together right now. It's been another race of attrition. We've had quite a number of cars, like 7 of them now, retire from the race, and the Greg Gilbert Benjamin-Lariche gap has come down to 5 seconds with 17 minutes to go, and it is certainly Lariche lapping faster. Now, is it, I wonder, Greg Gilbert managing all of this, as the Supra's very nearly connected at the end of the lap there with the Ruben Del Sart's entry fending off teammate Guedes.
Yeah, Raymond Liu seems to have found a bit more pace. It was last lap that he lost a load of time there, wasn't it? And now got a Borusan Automotive car behind as well. So it's going to start to get busy as we get into this final phase of the race, the final 25%. Again, lots of curb from this BMW, the energy being shot through you, the car, everything. And the cars have got to do it. David Maloney, like you said, the AM driver in that, sharing with his son. San Marino flag there, only 20 kilometres away from this Misano circuit.
Absolutely right. David Maloney then, having taken over in that car. And behind is the similar M4 Victor Buveng, having taken over from Joachim Walder. This is David Maloney's view once again. Race has 16 minutes to go for the race lead. Gap down by 3/10 in Sector 1, and it then extends by 2 in Sector 2. So a little bit elasticated, but right now you get the feeling that the David Coolman Aston might be on borrowed time. Maloney is eyeing up exactly where he can make that move, isn't he?
Yeah, BMW is just ever so slightly breathless. As we come out the corner, you can hear it revving. It almost just doesn't match the noise and the momentum forwards there, and that's why he's having to work so hard. But Coolman as well will be looking at the battle in front. They're starting to take some serious inroads out of that. Their last lap was 4/10 quicker, so there's a chance that the 2 4-car battle packs that we're riding on could conjoin and make an 8-car epic fight in the last part of this race.
Maloney up the curb, battles on. now looks to the outside line. Part of this is to try to unsettle the Aston, even if it's not a proper bid for position. Anything he can do to force a little mistake out of David Coleman, it's worth trying.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, this is where the pro drivers in this Pro-Am bit, sometimes quicker than the silver drivers in the silver class, they get that bit more experience. They could be gold rated, whereas in silver, the maximum is silver, and the grading is to keep it all fair. As the bronze is the AM, the silver is the young pro, and the gold is the pro, to keep it simple.
Lead gap down to 4.9 seconds now, Gilbert to Lariche. I think it's Greg Gilbert managing this, isn't it? He's just able to stretch it when required.
Yeah, Maloney to the inside once more of Coleman, but unable to do anything. Keeps trying to catch the attention, but Coleman keeping a nice check on it and doesn't seem to be getting flustered just yet.
Romeo Lurs has gained a place further back. Nathan Van Springels, oh dear, I was about to say he's losing time and places, and that's why masses of white smoke out of the back of the car that Eric Evans had done so well in earlier on. That, I fear, may well be a full course yellow, because the Mustang belching out smoke has ground to a hole. It's in an awkward place, and visibility is going to be limited.
Yeah, I also fear there's oil going to be dropped before it's expired, and maybe Ibanez knows this and wants to get the move done. This is going to be interesting through 15.
It is. It's at turn 8 where the Mustang has stopped. We've got just under 14 minutes to go, so let's wait and see. We're going full course yellow then. It's within 10 seconds, and the full course yellow is going to be activated now, and there is the reason. The smoky Mustang, yeah, I just mentioned the fact that Nathan Van Springel had lost a couple of places compared to Eric Evans. Great effort, and you can see why he was losing places. The car was developing a problem, and it's gone bang big time down at turn 8. Full course yellow.
Yeah, old school failure there. It's hard with the painted surface underneath to see if that's oil or if that's just a white patch of the paint, but didn't seem any fire. And with the amount of smoke coming out of the exhaust, shouldn't fear too much. But yeah, look at that. A lot of oil has gone all the way through. I think Van Springel was maybe saying that's not going to drive, which is maybe an obvious statement, but always good to clear up.
So the bad news is that Mustang out of the race after all the good work from Eric Evans. Now, what's going on here? You don't need to be that defensive under a full course yellow. Surely Lucas Cartel, Luke Ibanez behind, and then it's going to be Enrico Ferderer in 8th spot. So this 13 minutes and counting before the end of the race. We ought to have time to go back to green.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And yeah, you're right, you don't need to defend, can't overtake. The interesting one here is at turn 14 later in the lap, the apex speed is at 60k, so 20k under the full course yellow. So still as a driver, you have to concentrate there and try and minimise any time loss. Fire truck was there very quickly, wasn't it? The teams hate seeing the extinguisher sprayed because the cleanup job is real nasty and sometimes quite a corrosive liquid as well coming out of that nozzle as Van Springel trudges along the saddest beach in the region.
Yeah, exactly. Real shame that for Matt Nicol-Jones' team, because the car had been running so well. General clear-up operation going on. You see a marshal just leaving the circuit with debris that he's picked up, and trying to clear the circuit ready for the resumption of the race. The longer we are under full course yellow, the more likely though we are to get a safety car, aren't we?
Yeah, that's true. Higher ambient means that the drivers probably easily get away with 2 to 2.5 laps under full course yellow, and you go back to green safely without the tyre pressures being too low. But of course, safety always paramount. But if that safety car does come out, it effectively adds 5 minutes of procedure to our remaining time.
And it's bad news, of course, for Gilbert, because an advantage that's down to 4.7 would shrink to about 4.7 inches, because he would end up with Benjamin Larouche right up behind. So he wants the race to carry on as full course yellow and then go green without that safety car intervention. Luke Ibanez right on the back there of Lucas Cartel. Right, let's hear from Eric Evans. A mega stint by him, but big disappointment. Nathan Van Springel having to park the car, and Eric is with Nina Jade.
Oh, Eric, all that hard work undone. You got up to 10th place from practically at the back, wasn't it? Number 37 you started? Talk us through how you're feeling.
I'm so disappointed at the moment. I started dead last on 37th. Drove all the way to the 10th in my stint, handed it over in a good spot for Nathan. Nathan was doing a good job, and then, gosh, I don't know who we made mad this year, but every round we have just had incredibly bad luck. I feel so sorry for all these guys who work on the car. It's just, there's nothing in their control, it's nothing in the driver's control. It's just the worst luck. At least I don't know who we made mad, but it just is what it is so far.
I know the car hasn't been recovered yet, but at this stage, do you know what the fault is? Is it looking like the engine?
You know, I'm not going to speculate anything just because I don't know at the moment, but there's just a lot of smoke at the back, so I don't know if it was a fire or the engine let go or what happened, but yeah, unfortunately day done for us, but it's just a circumstance this year so far apparently.
Hopefully Lady Luck comes back for the next round.
Hopefully.
Thanks for talking with us.
No problem, thank you.
Yeah, big disappointment for Eric Evans, who is a very, very good GT4 racer. It's a real shame that we're not seeing the best of him and the car this year. What Eric has said about, you know, I don't know what we have to do to turn this around. You could, in a different accent, have that as a Lariche or Consonny conversation, because it's the same feeling as we do now. Go safety car.
Yeah, exactly. And Eric Evans always with a smile on his face, and British GT champion aboard a Mustang, pre-Evo, of course. So he knows luck can go both ways, but yeah, it certainly feels like it's against him. And that Mustang has really had a struggle this year, it feels like, in GT4 compared to other years. We're seeing the GT3 sibling get better, aren't we? Especially at Monza, it was right at the front, wiped out in the race. But the pace is there, and Ford coming back into motorsport in a vengeance, and with good resource as well, more importantly.
Yeah. They started the season with two of them, didn't they? You had the second car with Marco Signoretti aboard, but only the one here this weekend. So, safety car conditions.
Exactly, so all cars released from 80Ks now up to speed and just trying to get some tyre temp in. 8 minutes 50 seconds remaining. Could get away with just the safety car staying out for once more past the pit lane, which I think would give us about 5.5 minutes of green flag racing. So we could have 3 to 4 laps at the end of this, which would make it a very interesting race between these two Audis.
And the 29 Toyota, the Henry Jocelyn car, we understand, is another retirement, that with too much damage to continue, having been involved in a couple of scrapes. So over the timing line they go, and this really now does give the advantage, does it not, to Benjamin Lariche, because from being 6 seconds back at the start of the stint, now he's right on the tail of Greg Gilbert. So Benjamin Lariche will have time to attack for the race lead, and then you've got Thomas Rackel in third in the BMW, much closer as well, ready to pick up the pieces. So we're not going to have long when we go back racing, but it's going to be frantic, that is for certain. Trouble is, safety cars breed safety cars, and so now with everybody tightly bunched and knowing it's your last roll of the dice before the checkered flag, it could get very leery on the resumption.
Yeah, and drivers know that, and there's something about race 2 in GT4 where they know the next movement for this car is into the back of the truck, where damage seems to be less of an issue. Race 1, you know, if you have a big one there, you're not making it out in race 2, but race 2 you suddenly have weeks for the very hard-working mechanics at these teams to repair the car.
Yeah, the next round isn't until September, so all that repair time, you know, get stuck in. It says here, weaving around to maintain the tyre temperature and the pressures on that run down towards turn 8, 7.5 minutes and counting then now. Waiting for really the stragglers to catch, and we've still got a few cars coming onto the pit straight, so I think another lap is going to be needed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's real close. A few cars have really bottled up. The Philly Motorsport car 310, the 110 Raymond Liu car. So if it ends in a 10 and it's a triple digit, you're the problem. And we're getting there. I've got a feeling race control are going to be brave and safe to go in this lap. Let's pray.
Yeah, because the final handful of cars just going up now towards turn 4. So that's your sort of Daniel Drexel, Gustavo Xavier and Christopher Brunhagen trio. The light's going to be out. There's nothing on the screen to say safety car in. This is coming out of turn 10. Now safety car in this lap. The message is relayed. So we're ready to go back racing. And this is going to be very frantic indeed. 6.5 minutes are on the clock right now. It's going to be obviously far less race time when we get round to the exit of 16, and Robert Consani knows that his Audi has a chance of a win here, and Benjamin Lariche, he's not going to just sit behind his teammate, is he?
No, he's not. When's the Audi going to go? They've got great low-end torque. Could go quite early, could go at the apex of 14 where they're approaching now, try and get the jump on the field and drag them out. It seems not, and he now goes on the exit. Audis have gone well, and the BMW's done okay. Thomas Rackel actually closer to the second place Audi than the second place Audi is to the lead-up.
Absolutely, and there, well before the corner, a big dive by Yannis Stevenheidens to go through, but then he goes wide and goes off the circuit, and that enables Sam Paley to fight back in the Mustang. So over the line they go, and Greg Gilbert, it is up front with Benjamin Lariche going after him, but Thomas Rackel, the man to watch. Paley is 4th, Cartel is 5th, and Stevenheidens ends up 6th. As there you can see more challenges being made in the middle of 2. That's Cartel being forced up the escape road. It's all kicking off as we expected.
What about overtaking before the control line? That was 200 metres before we should have any overtaking. You can't go back to racing until the green flag is shown, and that's after the last corner. There is a serious mismatch of strategy there from Stephen Heidens. Don't get that one at all.
Keep talking. I'm just going to check one thing, because you're right, it is a strange thing for a driver to do. So there, the car's going up through turn 8, and Greg Gilbert still in charge, but look how much closer now Benjamin Lariche is. The two Audis absolutely nose to tail.
Yeah, they are really checking out quickly. The only thing I can think for Stephen Heidens, he's got confused with the second safety car line as the restart line, but the control line here at Misano is in a very similar place to the finish line, which is way after that. Race control aren't going to look fondly at that. But interestingly, it really hurt the Mustang, because they were fighting while they should have been concentrating on getting a good exit to start the part of the lap where they could go full racing. The Audis there are running nose to tail, so it wasn't the best start from Lariche originally, but now the pace seems to be there where he has got the upper hand of Gilbert. They've got the real luxury of not having to worry behind them, so it's really a two-horse race to the end, both on 4 track limit warnings. I think the number 1 car just used one up on 15 there, so now they're down to 1 potentially. This could be a factor as well. As soon as you do your 6th track limit warning, 5 seconds, and they're going to squeeze another 3 laps out of this race.
I just wanted to check where the safety car restart line was, and it is the same as the control line, the timing line, the finish line, and the red flag line. So in other words, coming out of 16, not going into it. And I think you're right, Stephen Heiden's confusing the second safety car line with the control line, and that's what's flummoxed him. But in the end, it didn't actually pay out, did it? Because having gained 1 place on the inside, he lost 2 by going wide. Meanwhile, Greg Gilbert is still in charge, despite Benjamin Lariche's best efforts. 3.5 minutes on the clock now, that's all. And at Team Speed Car, getting a bit nervous about this. Sam Paley upholding Ford honour, because his car running then in 4th place, but that's the Team Floral Racing car, not Manical Jones' team, and a wobble out of Lariche as he goes out of 8. Rackle 3rd still.
He's giving it everything. He's taking everything out of these tyres. These tyres have been on the car from the start of the race. Same for all the cars. No tyre change in GT4. They get right to the end of their life. 160 kilometres on these Pirellis is about their cut-off. The rear always goes first. You're putting 500 horsepower through that rear axle, and so they get worn very quickly. And actually, the BMW starting to bring the Ford through. Fancy that Mustang for a podium potentially. Let's keep an eye all the way down the order for the Pro-Am battle as well.
With the clock now 2 3/4 minutes, as up towards turn 12 goes this next fight involving the Toyotas and the Audi number 3 in the hands of Vinny Beltramelli, and a big effort being made by Ibanez there again up the inside, trying to get ahead of Lucas Cartel's very feisty Supra, but Ibanez has to slot in behind at 15. Is there a chance to challenge at 16? You've got Stephen Heidens having dropped back to 7th place now. Yes is the answer to Ibanez's efforts. He's up the inside. Toyota just has room on the outside. They rub, they lean on each other. Here comes the McLaren, 3 wide past the pits. Ibanez saying, give me a bit of room, and he just has to lean on the Supra to open the door a little bit round the outside into turn 1. Really nice move that by Luc Ibanez in the Mercedes.
Great move, super brave. I was worried he hadn't seen the yellow McLaren and he was going to squeeze him into the pit wall, but that was really good by Ibanez, just on the right side of fair from both him and Cartel in the Supra. And Stephen Heidens trying to make up for that odd restart, trying to get some places back. Actually looks like potentially Seiler in the Aston Martin's going to get him.
Yeah, Stephen Heiden's yo-yoing up and down the order, isn't he, as they come nose to tail off the turn 6 left-hander. Wide there goes the Mercedes. You can see that was Enrico Ferdera, so up the inside of him goes Mies Houben. This takes you down towards turn 8. Houben to the inside line, and he's going to go through, yeah, so that puts him back into 9th place, having briefly lost out.
Yeah, and we've got a slow car here, rear left puncher for the 30 car.
Leading Am.
Yeah.
It was the leading Am, not anymore. It's going to limp to the pit lane, so bad luck for Kronberg and Blickler. Max at the wheel of the car, Max Kronberg, but yeah, that's a car with a left rear puncher, and the worst they could be if they get to the flag is 2nd in class, but big disappointment. A winner's gone begging, as there, look, Clement Seiler now does get ahead of Yanni Stephen Heidens. And there are the Audis with the gap widening again. Greg Gilbert getting away, change for 3rd. Sam Paley up the inside of Thomas Rackle.
Yeah, I fancy that Mustang. It looked good and it's looked well poised all weekend. Great for a potential podium for them as the leaders are going to go on to the last lap of the race.
The Team Floral Mustang saying it with flowers then as it comes now through the left of 16. Very sideways was Thomas Rackle as he tries to fight back. In 5th place behind is Luc Ibanez. In 6th is Cartel. 7th is Seiler. 8th is Stephen Heidens. 9th is Houben. And in 10th place over the line, it is Enrico Furtero. And this is the last lap then as they dive down towards turn 1. So Greg Gill there is in charge, and he's brought the gap back up to a full second.
Yeah, it looks like the first two are pretty well cemented. It's really this final podium position, isn't it? The BMW of Rackle against the Ford, the floral car of Paley. Paley will need pedal to the metal to keep that final podium position. It's going to be difficult for Rackle to get back, but expect that Bolsan Automotive car to do everything he can.
Now, Greg Gill there on target, seemingly, for a maiden win, a second of the year as there for LaRouche and Consonny as there. Clement Zeiler goes through ahead of Lucas Cartel. That was brave because there wasn't much of a gap on the run down towards turn 8. But Clement Zeiler, very experienced GT4 hand, goes through, goes a little bit wide. Stephen Heidens is back on the attack now to try to get himself past the Supra. Can't do that. He's doing the Harry Reynolds line, isn't he, of attack any way you can think of.
You've just got to in that McLaren. He's got no straight line performance whatsoever. That's where McLaren put the performance window. And look at it, it looks like my Fiat Panda hire car down this back straight. It's just losing the gap. And that must be so frustrating for Stephen Heidens, who's going to end up 8th. Remember, the car did win yesterday with the sister car. It's quick over a lap, but it's hard to race in that mid part, it would seem.
It's going to be a win for this Audi then for Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit, second, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny, and we might yet have a change for 4th place. Ibanez all over the back of Thomas Rackle, but we'll get the Audis across the line. First of all, a maiden win this season. It's been a long time coming for Greg Gilbert and for Paul Petit. They take the checkered flag to win. Second, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny. Sam Paley brings the Mustang home. Third, 4th will be Thomas Rackle. 5th goes the way of Luc Ibanez. Look further back in the queue. Over the line goes Vinny Beltramelli in number 3 Audi to win Pro-Am. And for second in Pro-Am, it's going to be David Kuhlmann, is it? Yes, and then the Davide Meloni BMW for 3rd. And Christopher Brunhagen does take over the lead of the AM class, given that puncture for Max Kronberg.
Yeah, the Lotus of Diasse made good progress. He was up to 4th in Pro-Am. Didn't see him in the battle pre-safety car, so safety car helped him. Safety car would have made this man, Paul Petit, very nervous, but it was a great restart from Gilbert, and in the end, a comfortable race, you would say, for the 8.
For a lot of seasons, we saw Greg Gilbert in Pro-Am competition, didn't we, with him being the faster of the 2 drivers to help the AM and taking class titles, but it's good to have him within the Silver Cup, the overall, the main class, if you like, where you can fight for a race win. By his own admission, he's not as quick as Paul Petit, and in fairness to this man, he has done a good job of banking points. Max Kronberg has stayed offline. He's limping the car to the end to make sure he takes the flag on the track. That's the key to all of this, and therefore be classified as a finisher and therefore take the points. So Max Kronberg limps home, and he will be a lap down, but he's crossed the line. He's taken the flag on the track, and therefore is a classified finisher, and therefore gets the points for second in AM. So Greg Gilbert and the slightly quicker Paul Petit, as I said early on in the race. His father, Pierre, was a very good Formula 3000 racer quite a long time ago. And Paul, when he came into this championship, had some pretty bad luck. That big accident at Spa last year at the 24 Hours. But regrouped, bounced back, and done a good job here this weekend. So our first Audi victory of the season. And a weekend of firsts. First McLaren win of this season as well yesterday.
Yeah. Sometimes when you look at races back in hindsight, it looked easy for them, didn't it? It was a lights to flag victory.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that at the end of the first stint. The gap closed down, didn't it? And then it closed down again just after the safety car. But then the last couple of laps started to look easier, and great result for Speed Car, who have had a troubled start to the year with some of the reliability in this slightly older Audi that we mentioned.
Down the pit lane then comes the victorious Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert Audi. Greg at the wheel of it for that second stint, Benjamin Lariche. And then Sam Paley in 3rd place. Good for the Mustang. Different team from the squad that operated the Eric Evans, Nathan Van Springel car. Actually, Nathan Van Springel drove for Team Floral last year and has switched teams, but his car not having the same joy today. There is an elated Team Speed Car operation, and a very happy Paul Petit, who is ready to embrace his co-driver. Out of the car gets Greg Gilbert, and as the field trickles down the pit lane, there you've got for second Benjamin Lariche. 3rd comes to stop. That's the Sam Paley Mustang, and an excellent job done by Team Speed Car here. Very happy team, and a 1-2 finish is something to savour for the squad. But you can't help but feel that Lariche and Consonny yet again would prefer it to be their car that was the faster of the two, and therefore the race-winning car. But at least it's points, finally.
At least fair as well. That's always the worry as a team when you've got two fast cars at the front end. Is there going to be an awkward debrief between the two and handshakes between all the drivers? Always fair. There was no contact, or not really even close, was it? It was always over a second as they start the debrief.
Yes, an interesting drive that for both Gilbert and Petit, because they always, as you say, had some gap, and try as Consonny and Lariche may have done, it never quite went in their favour.
Yeah, I just wonder if Lariche hadn't double pressed that button, would that have been the difference? It was 5 seconds lost, wasn't it? As you said, David, the gap would have been under a second after the pit stops, and it would have been much closer, much easier to put pressure on the sister car.
Okay, we're good to go.
Well, let's hear from our race winners. Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit win race 2 here at Misano.
Well, both of you, it's been a long time coming, really. It's a shame it's taking so long. This season's been a tricky one for both of these cars, but you were pushed the entire way, particularly when that safety car came out.
Yeah, Benjamin pushed me. He was a bit faster in sector 1 and sector 2. I was quicker in sector 2, yeah. I just finished the job of Paul did. He did a fantastic start, fantastic stint. He managed a gap with Robert. So, yeah, it's really a fantastic race. We really need to score good points, and today it's the biggest point, so we are really happy. Exactly. And just one thing, we lose one friend, amateur Julien Ripper. He had a big crash on a free practice. He had a bad thing in his back, so kiss him. Good recovery and come us back next race in Zandvoort.
Absolutely speedy recovery there. Paul, for yourself, watching on, I mean, you did the hard graft in the first stint, but watching on there on that pit wall, watching what's going on, knowing just how good Benjamin is in the background, pushing your teammate, it must have been very nervy.
No, for us the race was really good. The car was fantastic in the first stint, so I tried to manage the tires and everything to give a good car for Greg, and fantastic job also for Greg. Great restart for the safety car, and yeah, it's very important for us. I think we have a very good lineup. The car also was really good, so now, yeah, we don't want to speak about the championship, just win races, and we will see at the end.
Well, go and get the biggest trophy. Well done.
Thanks a lot.
An overdue win, a very popular win, I'm sure, for Paul Petit and Greg Gilbert. Bravo to them as they come through race winners here at Misano. The Audi, as we've been saying all weekend, just so well suited, it seems, to this circuit, and being able to come through to take that victory. So a job very, very well done. That car comes out on top here. So let's get back down to the pit lane. What about the Pro-Am winners? Sasha Botterman and Vinny Beltramelli come out on top this time.
Well, boys, not only did you win this race, you looked, both of you, incredibly comfortable in the car throughout. I mean, before the safety car came out, you had a huge margin. Talk us through that. You've got to be pleased.
On va parler en français. On est vraiment très heureux avec Vinny. On a eu un début de week-end très compliqué. Enfin, ça concrétise. On marque des points, la victoire. C'est ce qu'on doit faire en fait à toutes les courses, marquer des points et finir les courses. Voilà, on est très heureux. C'est cool.
And you were in and amongst it with the silvers throughout the entirety of the race. I mean, this must give you confidence for the next round.
Bah, on souhaite d'aller chercher la victoire aussi sur les autres manches, parce que forcément on a des points à rattraper puisqu'on a pris un petit peu de retard, donc ça fait plaisir de renouer avec la victoire et puis on va aller chercher les 4 qui restent.
Congratulations to you both. Enjoy this.
Bye bye.
Sasha Botterman, Vinny Beltramelli, then very happy with their class win, and again it's a speed car Audi, so a 1-2 and a class win doesn't get much better than that. They'll won pretty much anything they can. And Bryn Lucas has found our AM winners, the Brunhagen family, with their Toyota.
Watching on there, we know that racing carries on and carries on and carries on. You have to keep going until the very end, don't you?
Yeah, you need to do that.
And with this one here, I mean, we say inheriting wins and things sometimes happens. You have to take what's out there, and I'm sure you'll accept this one.
Yeah, of course. Today, Max and Daniel had a bad one, puncture, and then, yeah, we just had to grab that win, so, yeah.
Give us an idea of what it's been like racing around Misano in this heat, because we're always talking about the heat in this sort of racing at the moment. It seems to be following us around.
It's really hot in the car, so I think we have 68 degrees yesterday in the car when we came in, so it's hot.
You'll have to race with the sunglasses on from now on. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the Brunhagens, who were leading the championship early in the season, that was largely based on consistency. That's their first victory. That, again, you could argue has been a long time coming, and it may not have come were it not for the travails of Max Kronberg and Daniel Blichler's car right at the end with that punctured tyre. But a popular first win for the Toyota drivers. So the field next in action at Zandvoort. This is the provisional result. Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit winners here at Misano from Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani. Sam Paley and Michael Haverans taking third ahead of Thomas Rackel and Gabriele Piana. Clement Seiler and Pedro Garcia fifth. Lucas Cartel and Hudson Schwartz sixth. 11th in the end, Vinny Beltramelli and Sacha Bottoman to win Pro-Am from David Kuhlmann and Florent Grisot. And the Melonis are third, with the winning AM, as we've been saying, the Brunhagen family, and Daniel Blichler and Max Kronberg taking second place. So there's Zandvoort and Portimao still to go in GT4 Europe this year. And the Brunhagens, with their Toyota Gazoo Racing Sweden entry, can celebrate a maiden AM victory for this season. But the overall winners for Team Speedcar, Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit. So the podium awaits, trophies are there. The event and championship staff from SRO all ready to marshal the correct people into the correct podium order. There is Nathan Van Springel, the very, very tall frame, dwarfing Greg Gilbert, who's reflecting on his race win. Paul Petit behind him. So we'll have the silvers, the Pro-Ams and the AMs for their podium. Team Speedcar celebrating a 1-2 and a class win. Yes, the only negative, if you like, the enforced absence of Julien Ripper after his accident in testing, hurting his back. But we hope to see Julien out again at Zandvoort. So the top three cars are needed for scrutineering purposes. Others that are now not required, sent either to the teams, or in the case of those that do need to get to the scrutineering area in the pits, in the paddock rather, around the back of the garages, they're released too. So podium awaits, and it will be for the Silver Cup first of all that the drivers will step forward. It's going to be the silver podium first of all, and that means Michael Haverans and Sam Paley will come forward first. Michael Haverans, Sam Paley, their first visit to the podium this weekend. They were on the podium at Spa, got third in the second race there, so carrying on that good form. Another team with a second place, or the second time they've equalled the result, namely Robert Consani and Benjamin Lariche for second. They were second at Monza. They've done it here at Misano. But for Team Speedcar, they can celebrate the winning team, and Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit are going to be on the top step, and that is not only their first win of the season, it's their first visit to the podium of the season. So a very good result, a real turnaround of fortune, having been banking points hitherto. Winning rookie to the podium as well as for Team Speedcar, the national anthem of the winning team. Pedro Garcia, the winner of the Best Rookie Award, is the other driver you see on the podium, as now the trophies are presented by Georgie Chapman, Pirelli Racing Engineer for GT4. Pirelli, of course, supply tyres to anything that moves this weekend, so whether it's GT2, 3, 4, or McLaren Trophy as well. Trophies for third and then for second. Benjamin Lariche, Robert Consani, the reigning champions. They're not going to retain that coveted title, but they are going to go to fight for the end of the season. Team Speedcar taking honours, and Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit now get the winners' trophies. Greg Gilbert, no stranger to the GT4 podium, but it's largely been as a class winner rather than outright, and he and Paul Petit making a good combination here in the Audi. Pedro Garcia gets the rookie trophy. The driver from the Aston Martin, and the champagne is sprayed by the drivers, possibly a little bit before it was anticipated, because group photographs never quite happened. But anyway, the trophy is just about avoided by drivers that leap from the podium and spray the champagne. Top work though by the Team Speed Car crew, and well done Paul Petit, and also to Greg Gilbert. It's been a long time coming, that win, but they've done it, and it's a popular result nonetheless.
So can you just pick up your trophies, look in front of you first of all, show your trophies.
So the drivers being marshalled into the group photograph with the trophies, and then in a few moments, no doubt, we will have the next podium made ready, and that will be for the silvers. So let's have a look at how we stand in the championship now then, after the two races here this weekend. It is still Cedric Fuchs and Enrico Ferderer in the lead, but when they came here with a 30-point advantage, it's not quite so great now, with Gabriele Piana and Thomas Rackel a little bit nearer second, and Charlie Hart and Mackenzie Cresswell, yesterday's winners, in third. Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit now up to fourth, and then fifth in the standings will be Lucas Cartel and Hudson Schwartz. So we are set for a really interesting end to the season, with these 4 races, 2 in Holland, 2 in Portugal, still to come. There is Davide Meloni, along with his dad Paolo, heading for the Pro-Am podium for third place. The BMW drivers then make their way up to the third step. Then Florent Grisot, along with David Kuhlmann, make their way onto the podium for second place. The Racing Spirit of Le Mans drivers in the Aston Martin. And the top step will go the way of Sacha Bottoman and Vinny Beltramelli, again from Team Speed Car. They make their way to the top step, and Team Speed Car continuing this fabulous weekend with another class win. So the Marseillais plays for Team Speed Car, and now once again Georgie Chapman with the trophies for the winning drivers. The Malonis take theirs for third place. Then for second, the Racing Spirit of Le Mans crew, David Kuhlmann and Florent Grisot receive their trophies, and the winning drivers, Vinny Beltramelli and Sacha Bottoman, will have their trophies shortly after. The team's trophy is handed to Team Speed Car, and another great reception from the crew in the pit lane. Very happy driver indeed is Sacha Bottoman, celebrates honours, and now this time we can, I think, have a group photograph, everybody being huddled together. And as they do so, the champagne awaits. So their final race of the weekend means that the overalls have time to be cleaned, and Team Speed Car making sure everybody gets a good soaking here. So the drivers make their way in a moment from the podium back to the paddock, and the AMs will be recognised next. So a good job done by Team Speed Car all across the weekend here. Right from the start of free practice, the Audis have looked quick. As far as the championship in Pro-Am is concerned, Joachim Walder and Victor Boveng still ahead of Daniel Draxel and Chris Solkeld, with Davide and Paolo Maloney in third. That win certainly helps Vinny Beltramelli and Sacha Bottoman. They're up to fourth. Yesterday's winners, but retiring today, Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramid, are fifth. And a really tough season this for Henrik Still and Joachim Bolting. They're taking points when they can, but it's not being an easy season, far from it. So the AM drivers will be next. Their podium will be the final one that we have. And the circuit then being made ready for GT3 action, which is going to be in an hour's time, or less than an hour's time now, with the field getting themselves set. The AM podium is a quicker one because only 2 crews are here this weekend, and Daniel Bickler and Max Kronberg come home victorious, come home second, I should say. They would have been victorious but for the puncture. But in the end, it is Michael and Christopher Brunhagen who take the category win. And the first one of the year as well for the Toyota drivers. They've had a busy season racking up points, but the Swedish crew winning here in Italy. So applause for the drivers. And the trophies again come forward. So well done to Max Kronberg and Daniel Bickler. They take second, but for the puncture. Could have been a rather different result, and well done to the Brunhagens. And as they get their trophies, let's have a look at the highlights of race 2. GT4 European Series Race 2 had the Paul Petit Audi on pole position. He made a demon start to lead the pack down towards turn 1, with slotting in behind the Audi of Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani. And then you had yesterday's winner, Charlie Hart, and he made his move towards the inside as they got towards turn 2. The McLaren just being able to squeeze past Consani under braking. Alex Papadopoulos was in 4th in the Mercedes, but as Charlie Hart went on the attack, it didn't last for that long because back past him came Consani down at turn 8, but then there was drama. Charlie Hart riding the curb and the tyre just peeling itself off the rim. He brought the car back, but there was damage to the suspension as you had Gabriele Piana trying to get past Alex Papadopoulos. He eventually managed to clear him and also the Harry Reynolds McLaren, but by that stage the 2 speed car Audis were long gone. Drama with Harry Reynolds was rather assaulted by Hudson Schwartz. They'd already made contact the other way around up at turn 10 when the McLaren hit the Toyota. Pit window opened, in came Paul Petit to give way to Greg Gilbert, and a late race full course yellow when the Nathan van Springel and Eric Evans car had its dramas. That's out of the race. When we went back to green, it was Audi 1-2. Great racing in the mid-pack. Some cars getting crowded off the road down at turn 2. But through it all, Team Speed Car would prevail with a 1-2 and a class win as well to make it almost the perfect day for them. Proof of how hard the racing was this. The Sam Paley and Michael Haveran's car being squeezed towards the grass by the Thomas Rackel BMW as Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit won race 2 in GT4 European Series at Misano. Next stop is going to be Zandvoort in September.